3, 2, 1.
So, I've been holding on to this for weeks.
Oh, boy.
And I would love... Okay. First, let's get into this, but then... Second, I want to get into our singular listener on Spotify. But we'll get to that. Okay, so here's the disturbing thing that I've been sitting on for a couple weeks. You said that you like clumps of protein in your protein shake.
Wow, put me on blast.
What? You said they're like little treats.
Yes, they are.
But when you break into it, it's just dry clumps of powder. How do you like that?
I don't experience the dry clumps of powder.
What does it... Okay, wait, what is it then?
It's just a globby...
Mush.
Yeah. It's like a little chunky treat in your drink.
Ew! Okay. I don't really have anything else to say on that. I've been just sitting with that. When you told me that, I'm like, I need to bring that up publicly. But then we didn't record again. So I'm like, I have to hold that. I have to say that because psychopath.
They're good.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I've always liked that.
In smoothies, any type of like where you're mixing food, that would gross me out so much if there's clumps.
Oh, see, I think it's like a...
Because then it just like, the texture is like puke.
No. It doesn't taste like puke.
I know, but the texture.
Hey.
So gross.
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
Okay.
I think it's pretty cool. I haven't figured out how to like not mix it as well, so you always get it.
Try it with do it how I do it with this, just like a fork. It stays real clumpy. Because I was like, oh, I just want to be able to do this rather than shaking it up, but it never mixes all the way.
You know what I had, speaking of protein, you know what I had a moment a while ago of? Whenever you get to the bottom of, I mean, I've been doing protein pre-workout canisters of shit for so long now. Probably 10 years now. And the last little bit in the container, I can't waste anything, so I always try to get it out. And I'm always trying to get it out with the scoop, and I can't. And I'm like tipping it up and putting the scoop back and then like dropping the thing so it like falls into it.
And then the ridge, it doesn't, it hides underneath there. You can't just like
dump it out because the rim does that. Idiot.
You want to know what?
Just grab a spoon.
Oh, see, that's interesting.
I have a different method. Grab a spoon and scoop it out of the bottom. And it's the easiest thing ever.
Yeah. I didn't think about that method. My method, which to most people would maybe be gross because it just seems kind of funky, but it works for me. I will just put a little bit of water in the container or canister and just shake it up and then pour the rest into my drink.
That's not bad. Yeah.
Because then I like for sure know I'm getting like everything that would even be stuck on the rim.
Yeah. That's not bad.
It kind of just like catches all the like the residue of the powder too.
Yeah. There is something that's a little bit gross about it for some reason.
And I don't know why, but it is a little gross.
Plasticky container or something, but
it feels very reusing plastic containers. You know how some people do that where like they'll reuse
Cool Whip containers?
Yeah, like it feels a little bit like that, even though I'm not drinking it out of the container. I'm just swirling the water around and then pouring it out. That's also what I like to do with seasoning containers. Is it because like sometimes certain seasonings that we get, they will stick to the bottom if they're like a more fine powder. Yeah. I'll put olive oil in it.
Okay.
And swirl that around and then olive oil to take it out.
I thought you were going to say water. It's like, yeah, okay, that's gross.
No, I mean, it depends on what I'm making. Like, if it can be a little bit liquidy, then that would be fine. But I typically just do olive oil.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, so don't want to waste anything.
Oh, yeah.
We're crazy about it.
I am getting crazier about it. Now that we are getting a little bit better quality of things, it's even ramped up more because it's like, oh, well, this was more expensive.
Yeah.
So I don't want to waste it. Or there's some things where like, I like that seasoning so much. Like I can't go a day without garlic salt or something.
Yeah.
So it's like, I need to get every ounce of that out until we get the next garlic salt.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you want to say about our Spotify listener?
You need to identify yourself.
So accusatory.
It's just too easy of a situation to take advantage of to not take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no.
We only have one person listening. So there's a great opportunity here for me to go, tell me who you are. I mean, you can't go, like, if we do the
you sound
YouTube
so
people.
Angry about it.
No, I'm just like, I want to know. Because with the YouTube people, we can't go, like, everybody in the comments, like, comment something so we know who you are. I mean, if you want to do that, that'd be super cool because I would still like to know. But that always happens with this, where it's like the most random people. They're like, we love your podcast. I'm like, what? I didn't even know you knew who I was. Yeah. But you're like in somewhat of my zeitgeist that like you listen. What? But I feel like we can't call that out on YouTube because there's just you have too much of the group hiding where you can't go like, okay, all of you guys, let me know who you are. But if you're the one Spotify listener and you're hearing this right now, you know it's you. Because you're the only one. There's not like, well,
that person is feeling so uncomfortable.
Well,
right now.
there's five. So like, I'm not going to, they don't really want to know who I am, or they don't want to know that I'm listening or whatever. Like I'm taking it from my point of view, which is like, if you're listening on Spotify, it's you. I know. Watch. It's like Caleb. Someone that
so
hates being called out, hates putting the spotlight. Now I'm saying his name on here. She's like, great job.
Oh, that's funny.
But I just want to know who you are.
The Spotify pioneer.
So figure out how to message me.
You know, it'd be
DM
awesome.
me on Instagram. I will throw out my phone number on here if you want.
You know, it'd be awesome is if they never reveal themselves and there's always only one ever on Spotify. That would be the story.
It would eat me alive. Please don't do that just for the story. Because it will get to me. I need to know who you are.
Please don't expose yourself.
How about this? If you let us know who you are, we can either reveal you on the podcast, or if you're a very secretive person, we will not. And if that makes you uncomfortable, Caleb, then we won't. But if it's someone interesting that you want to know, or that you want to be said, we will make a big reveal. We'll put you on the podcast.
A big reveal. Could you imagine? The next one we're like, drum roll.
They're just in the apartment. We will
They're
have
behind
you.
the curtain.
We will have you as a guest on the podcast. We will talk about whatever you want to talk about. Or even that, we'll talk about whatever. We'll make a episode dedicated to you if you let me know.
And you know what, one Spotify listener? I don't agree to these terms.
I will.
That's funny. It's funny how obsessed you are with just the one.
Because, like I said, it's such a situation to take advantage of. Because there's not... That takes all the questioning out of it. Because if it's you listen there, it's you. There's no one else that it could be because we only have one.
Yeah.
So this is the one shot that we get.
The one shot.
It's like if we had one person listening on YouTube too, I'd be doing the same thing. Yeah. That singular, who's that one rogue Spotify person?
I told you before, I don't know why, for some reason, I want more people to listen on Spotify. I think I'm just so
Do we have video on Spotify?
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is like YouTube's like the known place. Spotify,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, go to Spotify. It's like cool underground. Even though it's
Yeah.
like so popular.
Yeah, I feel like people use that more for music than
Yeah,
videos.
well, and that's what I wonder too. Is this one Spotify listener?
Are you listening or watching?
They probably just listen. They probably just listen because they're probably just putting it on while they're doing something.
So this person, I really got to talk to you, because if you're just listening, I want to know, how does the audio sound to you? How is it? Is it interesting even though you can't see us? Are we doing a good job of explaining things that you can't see?
You're opening up this way too much. I don't want to know all these things. No. I don't want to. No. I am not. You're open to criticism. I'm not open to criticism.
Well, I'm not open to criticism because I can take it or leave it. I
I'm
just
not
want to
open to
know
critiques.
what's your experience. They could go, it sucks on YouTube and on Spotify. You suck. It doesn't matter. I go, I'll take that. I'm not going to do anything about it, but I'm trying my best. I'm trying to get better all the time.
I'm trying my best.
That's not feedback. That's just your opinion, and great.
Okay, well, one Spotify listener,
just DM me.
just talk to her. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to know who you are. I don't want to know your thoughts.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Reveal yourself. Oh.
Oh, man. What are we getting into?
Before we get into the micro sucks, how are you doing with the fasting in the morning?
Wonderful.
I really like the challenge of it, which kind of gets into what we're talking about, because as we just got back from Wisconsin, and that always is like, we're just kind of off the rails, just because, I shouldn't say off the rails, but like, we're not eating what we normally eat. We're drinking way more than we normally drink. Like, it's just a little bit, it's what it is. That every time we come back, I always feel like I want that reset, and this is being a little bit slower of a reset with working out, but it's still progressing, and I'm noticing it's getting harder and harder to do the fasting because my metabolism is increasing with these workout, like the exercise, the activities that we do. And I'm like, oh, well, it was good the first couple days, but now like I'm needing more food, and I'm just getting hungrier. But my meals have been through the roof large.
Yeah.
Like I don't eat like that in one sitting.
Yeah, I'm liking it. Like the reason I wanted to start doing it was I like having the mental clarity in the morning, because I try to get as much done right away, I guess. And I don't know, I've noticed this before of doing something like this, and you just have that clear mind. Things just seem to be like firing faster and working better and stuff. That I'm getting that. The waiting and getting hungry and that sort of thing, I'm also weirdly kind of liking, because I feel like we never go feeling hungry. It's like the 3 meals a day or however you eat, you're almost like curbing getting hungry. You're beating it to the punch type of thing all the time. That I kind of like the practice of feeling hungry and it being okay and it being fine. And I also wonder, I don't know enough about it, but I also wonder, just with all the fasting stuff and like not having food, digesting all the time, like what kind of benefits are happening? Is your body able to take a break from digesting to then help and work on other things? Like I think that's part of why you have the mental clarity too. So I should look more into that, of like, what are all the benefits of fasting and just not constantly digesting all the time, because there's something about it that just feels good to me, of like, oh, I'm hungry, but I'm not eating yet. Like I'm waiting till, noon or after our workout, and I feel like I'm getting something out of that. And then, like I've said to you pretty much every day, is like, I just look forward to eating lunch so much now. It's like I never was really looking forward to eating, because it was just so a part of the thing, to where now it's like, it's almost more of an event, because I haven't eaten since the night before, and now it's noon or 1 o'clock, and it's like I've kind of been waiting all day for it, and I'm like getting excited to have a big salad.
That's
like,
what I was gonna say. Is
weird.
the behavior adjustment that I'm noticing is really cool. Like you said, getting excited for food. Like I'm excited to have that be. I don't mind cooking and having that be an event of the day, but it's hard to always get pumped about food when you're kind of eating similarly, or not every meal is crazy, go for it. But I think because I'm so hungry, then when I get to lunch, I just like want a little bit of everything, but I'm willing to cook a little bit of everything because of how hungry I am. So now I am opening up my variety with the meal. Before I kind of go in cycles, but it's like I would have 4 eggs and a fried tomato and a banana. It's like, well, now for how hungry I am, that's not going to be enough. So now I'm like, okay, well, now I can do the fried tomato. I can do the egg. I can do maybe a smoothie, or I can do a banana. And then I will do like a whole nother protein and then another veggie or something. Like my meals are crazy large. And then I'll do a sourdough, like piece of toast or peanut butter and jelly on the sourdough, when I'm fine with making the peanut butter and making the jelly and doing all that just for a lunch.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm hungry. I want something. I'm going to make the effort to fill the meal, because I'm not the one to just like, oh, I'll just do more eggs, or I'll just do 2 tomatoes. Like that seems crazy to me.
Right.
So I'm eating in a lot more variety than I normally would, because I'm needing to fill up, which I think is cool.
Yeah. Well, and I think like you said too, us getting back into, since we've been back, just working out more consistently and having more of a schedule with that, the metabolism starting to pick up, and finding ways, I guess, to feed that. I wonder if, because I'm getting full off of the meals, like lunch and dinner. Last night's dinner seemed to be a little bit small for me. I woke up more hungry than I usually do, so I got to pay attention to that. But yeah, I mean, in how big the meals are and everything, like we were figuring it out yesterday. We both had probably 80 to 100 grams of protein just in lunch. And it's like, that wasn't happening before.
No. And what we've kind of figured out too, or looked into, is the more amount of protein that you can have at a time is better than, well, I shouldn't say better, but it might promote better synthesizing of the proteins versus having it kind of scattered. I also think behavior wise, having it kind of scattered, I think some people forget about it.
Yeah, totally.
Or like,
well, it's just like
prioritize.
Snacky foods usually they're not protein dense a lot of the time. If you're kind of eating multiple times throughout the day, you have to be really dialed into how much protein you're getting, because the things that you choose to just kind of eat randomly throughout the day typically are not protein dense. And what we had heard on Peter Tia's podcast was that you really don't even have protein synthesis if you're eating less than like 20 grams of protein.
Yeah,
so
which then
like
you think of a regular...
You need to eat over 20 grams of protein in a meal in order to get protein synthesis, and like otherwise it's just not really happening. And then there's a lot of carryover too. So if you have a big protein dense breakfast, that will carry you through basically until dinner time. Because what they were suggesting was to have, if you're trying to go a gram of protein for how much you weigh, have like 40% of it in the morning, 40% of it at night, and then like the 20% in the middle or whatever. Or, you can adjust those ratios a little bit, but you want most of it in the morning, most of it at night, because it will carry over to the next, every 8 to 12 hours or whatever, to where if you're eating at 8 a.m. and then your next meal's at noon, that protein synthesis is going to carry you through noon. So you don't need to worry so much about getting a lot of protein in the afternoon. It's more about beginning of the day, end of the day, because you have these long stretches of time where you're not getting it, and the protein synthesis will continue on for longer.
And I mean, we could go so much deeper into protein and what the benefits are and how it helps you. I think for me, the biggest thing I noticed is energy. Like if I'm not having higher energy, the clarity, the brain fog, I don't think I've ever connected to that before, but the days that I'm like paying attention to, or weeks that I'm paying attention to it, I have that wake up in the morning and I'm ready. And that kind of lasts. And then I can like still do my power hour and I'm not starting to fade as early as I would. Or I also feel like not depending on what workouts we're doing, just if I'm eating like that, and you hear this a lot, like the tightness of my body changes. Like I notice what are those called? Like the striations in my muscles a little bit more. And my guess is just it's easier to maintain a lower body fat.
Yeah,
for
probably.
me doing that. Probably because the calories are lean calories. Like I'm not having to fill up my stomach with other things. I just looked up 8 health benefits of fasting. This is not a deep dive into these articles, so also just take that into consideration. I'm basically reading mini headlines. This is also Healthline, which we both kind of like that website. 1, promotes blood sugar to control, reducing insulin resistance. Promotes blood sugar control by reducing insulin resistance, which you've been reading about that a lot too, which there's a lot of cool stuff with that. Promotes by fighting inflammation, which also is connected to your immune system. May enhance heart health by improving blood pressure, triglycerides, and cholesterol levels. Makes sense. This, what I just said, may boost brain function and prevent neurodegenerative disorders. This is obvious. Aids, and this is more of a behavior thing too, aids in weight loss by limiting calories intake and boosting your metabolism. Increase growth hormone secretion, which is also vital for growth, metabolism, weight loss, and muscle strength. Could extend longevity. That would make sense also to me because I feel like your body's just having to do less. And then may aid in cancer prevention, which also makes sense to me, just from basic knowledge. But
yeah, that's cool. And it's really it hasn't been difficult. I mean, it's a change, and you get used to it. But I don't feel like I'm necessarily eating less than I would before. I've just kind of packed breakfast and lunch together basically now. And I think there's a little bit of you're being more particular with what you're eating because you only eat, maybe twice, or I kind of have a snack somewhere in there too, just like orange and nuts or something like that. But you're a little bit more intentional with what you're eating because it feels like you're eating less or for less time. So you're kind of like, well, I need to get the important things. So you're prioritizing those, and then you end up kind of eating better because, well, I need to get my protein. Oh, I need to get my greens. I need to get my fruits, vegetables, and all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting. I think you give yourself less options of times to eat, so then you give yourself less options to choose from in a way. It's like you've kind of just shrunk everything down. It's like, okay, I got to get the important things.
And going into what we're talking about, furthering the next topic of just the discomfort and practicing being in the discomfort. It's like what I'm saying, my metabolism is increasing. So every day I'm waking up very hungry, and now I'm going on a walk. We're doing our workout beforehand. So like I'm exerting energy without fueling it right away. That there's that little bit of like I have to utilize other things then, to where before it's like, well, I'm feeling a little bit funky, I'll eat something. To where now it's like, no, that's not an option. You're waiting until after we come back from the workout at a certain time. Everything before that, it's like, no, I have to just stay focused, or I can't lead into that little, I'm discomfort in this area. What is kind of bleeding into the other things that I'm trying to work on of feeling a little bit discomfort and just find a way to deal with it.
Yeah.
But the thing we're talking about of micro sucks.
Yeah, it leads right into it.
Micro sucks and macro sucks. But mostly talking about micro sucks. So would you like to give a general definition of what it is?
The way that I see it is like just things that are a little bit inconvenient and you don't really want to do them, but you feel like you kind of have to do them or you should do them. Things like If you don't like doing the dishes, you don't like doing laundry, you don't like cleaning pans or going for a walk, getting the mail, walking out, getting the mail, like just little stuff that kind of like little irritations. I guess that's the way that I would
Describe what they are.
Yeah.
I love behaviors and talking about them when you can break down the science behind it, because it just makes nothing feel random.
Yeah.
And everything kind of has a control mechanism. It has a way to adjust and approve or even just simply understand it. That, like, there's such a brain connection with how this actually works. But I like talking about it, or like thinking about it from the standpoint of how it's benefiting us and how it's strengthening our brain. Because those little nitpicky things are things that I think you hear a lot of our generation and maybe a little bit of above us complain about a lot with like adulting.
Oh, here we go.
What?
You're starting the fire inside of me. Yeah. I mean, yeah, seriously. Like our whole generation, it's just how do we make everything more convenient? How do we make everything easier? And I couldn't disagree more with that.
And that's what's kind of unfortunate is we've gotten to this point where now our level of what we can handle is less, which means our overall ability, production, our like willingness is so much weaker, because doing the dishes is a micro suck for us. Mm-hmm. I mean, even that might be large. It's like just standing up off the chair when you're watching something. That is translating as a micro suck. You walking outside to get the mail is a micro suck. It's like those things are so tiny and so insignificant, but even myself, like that would be considered like, yeah, well, I don't want to do that. Like that, and Crystal talks about it, like the power that the I don't wanna has over us is so crazy. It's like, and now you expect to do something that's actually challenging.
Yeah.
You have, and that's why I want to get into the actual mechanics of it. Like you are training your brain to know that you can't handle that. Because your brain goes, bitch, you couldn't even do the dishes without complaining about it. You think that you can start a business? You think that you can handle this relationship problem? You think you can raise your kids properly? Like, you can do the dishes without complaining about it. So your brain is just going, well, this is what we can handle. Like, you are, what's the word? Like, when your muscles, like, that part of your brain is atrophy. Yeah.
Yeah. Deteriorating.
Exactly. It's just like, I would love to know grandparents on, or even like our parents' generation, like what would they consider a micro suck? Because I guarantee it would be a macro suck for most of us.
Yeah, probably. Well, and I was even thinking that the dishes example, it's like we consider it a micro suck to have to put the dishes in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
It fucking washes the dishes for you. Like, you're pissed because you got to put it into a machine. It's same with the laundry. It's like people used to have to do it by hand, every individual piece. And now it's a struggle to get up to put them in a dishwasher. Yeah. Like, we're just getting weaker and weaker.
Yeah.
And it's every little thing. Every little thing.
So the part of the brain, and I always mess up the second word. Short version, it's your AMCC. Little a, capital M, capital C. But it's your anterior mid-cingulate cortex. I think that's right.
Sound it out, Rob.
Your anterior mid-cingulate cortex, or the AMCC. So that part of your brain is involved things like attention allocation, renewal or reward anticipation, decision making, impulse control. Even just breaking those things down of how does that work in your daily life? Like, okay, attention allocation. When you have your day of you have your to-do list, that is still a strength and a tool to be able to organize your schedule, organize your day, organize your week, organize your month. How is my life working together? And what attention am I allocating that to? I feel like a lot of times when you break down your schedule, just like you break down your budget, you realize like how much dumb time you spend. It's like people always say we don't have enough time to do the stuff that we want. We don't have time to work out. We don't have time to spend more time with our kids. We don't have time to whatever. But then like you get that, weekly or monthly notification on your phone of like how much screen time you've had. Mm-hmm. It's like, unless you are running your business off of your phone, which isn't even that, understand what it is.
Scheduled.
It should be scheduled. It also breaks it down. It's like, I would like everybody to know how much time do you spend on whatever your things are. Maybe it's social media. Maybe it's the news. Maybe it is bullshit email. Maybe it is YouTube or whatever. What are the things that are not, they're fun.
Yeah.
And fun is okay. Fun is great. Fun is time. Like I do spend time scrolling on Instagram and looking at stories, but I limit the time to do it. But if I don't have that strength, I'm not going to be able to even detect that and then go, well, what do I do about it?
Well, and it's like what you said earlier about if you can't even handle the micro sucks or you can't get yourself to do those things, how do you expect yourself to do the bigger ones? That's, I think, a big tester, a big issue, like big sign. It's a struggle for you to put the dishes away, to go walk out, get the mail, to do all these little things. You're just continuously losing trust in yourself, and you're practicing not being able to trust yourself with things. Because when things get a little bit difficult, you try to find a way out of it. And that's where a lot of people are getting to, is these big issues come about and they can't handle them. Or it's like you want to start your own business, or you want to try to do something different in a new workout routine or whatever, and you can't do it because you can't even put the dishes away when you say, oh, I should probably do that. And then they sit there for another 3 days, and then you have that in your head of like, I still haven't gotten to it, and then the whatever else comes with that too, of like, wow, you can't even do the dishes, you haven't gotten to do that. And then how many other things is that happening with? Those micro sucks add up on the negative end and the positive end. And I think because of how we've tried to make everything easy and convenient, so many things are micro sucks now. Or like you said, the what a micro suck to us is way different than what it would be to our grandparents or people older than them. And it's just that practice of doing things you don't want to do. And it literally, there's a part in the brain that gets stronger and gets better by doing those things.
Well, and the losing trust in yourself, like, how do you achieve anything, regardless of how big or small it is, if you are going into every situation with that mindset, like you said, of, well, I couldn't do that, so I'm probably going to fail at this. It's like, could you imagine telling a kid, say it's your kid, before they try a new sport or activity, like, yeah, you can try it, but why? Because you're probably going to fail because you failed at the last one. It's like, you would never say that, because You'd want them to feel encouraged to keep trying and keep going for it. You're basically, that's what you're doing to yourself. And then the next one of reward anticipation. That disconnect of not being able to see the benefit at the end kind of washes away any sort of motivation or momentum that you're going to have when you do these things. Say it's a workout program. If you can't see at the end of the tunnel why you're doing it, or even at the end of the workout how you're going to feel, and you will not have the physical strength in your brain to, like what my dad said at the end of the workout the other day, like, God, I just feel so, like, I wish more people could feel this. or no, he didn't say that. I said that, but he's like, this feeling is so awesome. Like, I could run home right now just for how amped I am. It's like, if you don't have the ability to attach to that feeling and then to be able to recall upon that when you're going into the next workout, what makes you think you're going to continue doing that workout? You're not realizing what it's for. You're just focusing on the struggle of it every single time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's important to have that moment after you accomplish that micro suck to just go like, okay, cool. Like, that's clean. I did it. It's like, that's something that I've been trying to do, is like just have a clean sink at the end of the night. And you get done with it. You're like, okay, cool. Like, I'm going to bed and like everything's situated. Like, that's cool. But I think there's still even if you're not having that moment, I think you're still getting a benefit of, I did the thing I didn't want to do. And that may not sit in right now, but I think when you are just practicing those micro sucks and getting them done and accomplishing them, I think they add up regardless if you're taking a moment every single time.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the point, is if you just do these things, like, your brain will start to recognize it because it's also creating that habit.
Yeah, and
so it's like learning, oh, when I did this is what I did. Or when I did this is how it felt. Like, it's almost like you subconsciously figure out like, oh, I should be feeling good after the workout. Like, that's something that should just be happening, and you kind of almost start looking for that. These next two ones are crazy to me because I think so many people struggle with this, but impulse control and error detection. I think a lot of us...
And this is all still that same part of the brain that has this, or is...
The AMCC. Reason why I think this is so crazy, and like, once we get into even more of like who has typically strong AMCCs and who has low, these behaviors really start to show up. The impulse control, I read that as just like big or small life things, to where you can't stick with anything. You don't have the commitment. You don't have that ability to follow through with things and see them to the end. The error detection, that also is involved in that, of how many times, because I feel like we have all done this. It just depends on what thing you're talking about. I feel like every person has said, this just keeps failing and I don't know why. Or I just can't figure this out. Or I don't know why other people are able to just do this, but I just can't figure it out for myself, or it's just not going to work for me. Whatever version you tell yourself. That is a part of this error detection of, you're not able to analyze the situation and go, well, why can't I stick with writing down my protein every day? Why can't I stick with a schedule? Why can't I why can't I XYZ? I won't be able to see what patterns do I keep doing to why I keep failing at this. So it's like, how do you expect to improve or to feel good about anything if you're not able to see like where you need to adjust? Then you're just left with the result of like, it didn't happen. And you also don't know why. You're probably just going to keep repeating that.
Yeah. Yeah. The impulse thing's weird because I think you get caught up and you think you're doing the right thing by changing something, whatever the situation is. But it's almost just like a weird trick that you're playing. You're trying to find comfort. You're trying to find ease. Trying to make things easier. I think that's what it boils down to a lot of the time is, okay, how do I don't really like this situation, or I don't like what's going on or what I'm having to do. How do I make this easier on me? Like the dishes example, like I don't really want to put the dishes away right now. I've got other things that are more important. And it's like, okay, they might be, but that still needs to get done too.
Mm-hmm.
And you thought about it, so why not just go do it and get it done? And then you can do your important thing. Because then, like, now you're doing the important thing, and then maybe every once in a while you look over, you think about it, like, oh yeah, I still got to get the dishes done. Still got to get the dishes done. And that just keeps happening. And the working out example, it's like, it's easier to not work out.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to not go to the gym, to get all ready and get your shit on and go. And whatever reasons you don't like going, don't like working out, whatever it is, like, well, I could just avoid that and not do it. And that's way easier. And I think that's where sometimes the impulse comes in, is you have these ideas of, I want to better my life by doing these little things or doing these big things. And then you start to do them, but then it's hard. And that's where the impulsiveness comes in, is like, well, how do I just like not do this anymore?
The impulsiveness, the not being able to anticipate the reward. So you don't know, why am I even doing this? And then the error detection of, do I do this every time?
Yeah, totally.
And why do I do this every time? To even be able to analyze, as soon as it gets hard, I give up.
Right.
I bet people don't even recognize that a lot of the time.
That's the basis of the thing. To where you have all your, you have all your different reasons. Well, it's been different every time that I've stopped working out. The first time was because my knee hurt. The second time was because like I got busy. The third time, it's like you just have all of these reasons why you can't get to it or why you can't do it. And mostly just boils down to, no, it got hard. It got hard. And that's why you didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like your dad telling us about one of his coworkers, I think it was, that if they had to like go over for work because they had to write paperwork or whatever, he wouldn't go to the gym because he didn't have his full hour and a half. It's like, well, I only get to go for an hour, so like I'm not going to go today. It's like, what? Like, you don't have your full, like, we'll make any excuse to get out of it. Oh, I forgot. Like, I'm not wearing the shoes that I like to wear to work out.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Who gives a shit about your shoes? Do something else. Do all upper body. You don't need your feet for that.
Yeah.
Like, do anything else. But what, like, and it's the same reason on the opposite of the people that like going and working out, they'll make any excuse to go work out.
Yeah.
Like, they'll make, like, oh, I only have sandals, but, oh, it'll strengthen my feet.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you'll make up anything to make it work and to be able to go do it.
Yeah, the justification in things is crazy how easily we do that.
Yep.
We all do that. And I see when I start to do that sometimes. I do that with you a lot. I notice. To where it's like, ooh, this is a form of manipulation. I'm justifying it to you versus just saying, I just really want to do this thing. Or I don't want to do this thing.
Well, and that is so much more honest than the justification.
I feel like kids do that a lot with food. Like, I don't like that. Like, no, you just don't want to eat it right now. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's like, you love it every other time.
Yeah.
They just can't say, like, I just really want that. It's like, I don't like that. Like, well, yes, you do.
Yeah.
I love hearing your siblings say that about them. Like, well, yeah, you do though. Like, that's not real.
Yeah,
You're lying because you always eat this.
Well, and it's usually usually the reverse. Like when they're here, it's like, oh, I love corn. You're like, you hate corn.
You've never eaten this before.
All of a sudden here, you like it.
Or they say that they love it and they're like, you've never tried this. This is your first time eating this.
And then they're eating and they're like,
yeah.
Like, you clearly don't like it, but you're trying.
It's like Riley with the juice. Like, we made, anytime the kids are here, I love when they help me with the juice because the parents think it's so stupid, first of all. But no adult wants to do this. I don't even want to do this. Making juices are so ridiculous. Talk about microsuck. Like, it is just so much of an inconvenience to do it. But the kids find it fun every single time because they get to put stuff in a thing and it pushes out and it comes out in a different form. Like, obviously they're going to love that. And every time they drink it, even though the juice we're making is ginger, celery, and lemon. Like, it is the most intense juice. And they're like, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
It's so good.
Like, just because they're proud because they made it. Even though,
like, oh, this is great. You're like,
do you want your own cup?
No.
Yeah. I'm good, thank you. This is what I think is very cool about it. And I already told you this, but the people that tend to have anxiety, depression, a lot of like just ADHD even, like where you can't really, you're just all the things that go on with anxiety, depression, and ADHD. Not that one person feels all those things, just if those are things that you experience. They have studied that like a lot of people that experience them have a very low strength in this area. Like they are not practicing this. And the way that Huberman talked about this, and I love it, it's like a workout for your will. I just turned into a man. All of a sudden came back. That was almost werewolf like.
Came back. I'm back.
Sorry, that was scary. It's a workout for your willpower, which I think is a cool way to put it. Is like, this is a practice. This is something that you need to continually do. But it makes sense. Like, okay, you are struggling with things that are forming in your brain and forming in your hormones and forming in your chemical relations with each other. Anxiety, depression, ADHD. All of those things are a function of having a low brain function, AMCC, and your strength of that. So to me, it's also, this would be a way that you could work on getting better at those things and relieving those symptoms and not having it control your life by doing these tiny little things. The people that they have found that have the strongest AMCC and it continues to grow, my favorite people, athletes.
Yeah.
Athletes. Because why? They love adversity.
Just a little adversity.
They love adversity. They seek it out. They understand it. They understand the importance of putting themselves in those situations, and they celebrate it. They celebrate struggle.
Well,
that's what makes them tough. Talk
about the reward part of it. Like that's the whole connection to it. Is I'm going to do this to get the reward. It's like, if I suffer a little bit right now, the payoff is much greater. Like the whole goal is to win the game or win championships or whatever. That's what's in their mind the whole time. They have a very easy identification of what that reward is, and they are thinking about that after every workout. This is to get to that. This is to get to that. Like they know it. Yeah. They don't have a like, well, I don't know what I'm doing this for or whatever. It's like they have a very easily identified reward. Yeah. It's so simple. And that's what I think is cool about this part of the brain is like it's like a bicep. If you work on strengthening it, it will get stronger. If you don't ever do anything with it, like what we're talking about, you just, everything is easy and you try to make everything easier all the time, it gets weaker and you're not as strong and you can't do stuff. And that's just so much of where we're at now is, how do we make everything easy and convenient rather than like, let's do things that are a little bit difficult and hard because they have a reward, and like they literally affect and strengthen this part of the brain if you do that. Yeah, I think, and it's so easy to do. Like, I know we're talking about this as it's a difficult thing, but I guess taking a positive route of how bitchy and weak we are as a society, like, it's not going to take much. We're talking about getting off your chair, getting off the couch and walking around. We're talking about putting away the dishes. We're talking about when you talk to your kid, every time you're going to choose the better option. It's not like we're saying you have to go run 10 miles every day. You have to do the hardest workout of your life every single day. You have to put yourself in these challenging situations and jobs. Like, it's not that difficult to work on this. No, it's the micro suck. It's the little inconveniences. And that's where, if you can do the little things and are doing the little things, you are more able to handle the bigger things. And I think that's where we've gone in reverse. We can't handle the little things, so when the big things come, like it's an even bigger disaster.
How would you start implementing this in your life?
I was hoping you'd ask.
You're welcome.
So
Also, earlier, when I was just like having that moment, I thought of the Chris D'Elia, how he does it on Lifeline, of just like, because I was just like thinking, like, athletes are just so great. Like, they are just the best human. I'm like, just panning on me, and just like this whole vision of just like me doing highlight reels. Everybody's highlight
it's like
reels. Just
football
how they're
players
awesome.
running through.
Okay, sorry. I was having another one of those moments, so I knew I was going to laugh about it, so I had to say something.
It's probably difficult right away, but something that I kind of try to do. When you think about it, do it. So like if you're like, oh, I got to do the dishes still, like just get up and do it, rather than having this negotiation with yourself, or is this the right time? Or I mean, think about that. How much time is just wasted trying to figure out when to do stuff or when not to do stuff? It's like, just get up and do it.
And that's also part of this decision making.
Yeah. Well, and that's the way that I would initially implement it, is if you think of it, go do it. Because there's probably not something super important happening right now that would take away from you being able to go do it. Or if you think of it, like, make a list of the things that you need to do, because sometimes we have all of these things spinning in our head and we forget about it. And then you get home and you're like, oh shoot, I was supposed to go do this thing, or I was supposed to whatever, go get the mail, and now I got to go out again. And again, we'll make any excuse to, well, I'll just get it tomorrow then. I'm already inside. I don't want to go out. But I think as soon as you think of it and you're able to do it, go do it, to get that thing done so that it's off your mind. And then that's, again, you have that like, okay, I got it done. Like, there's a microsuck done.
Yeah, I like that. I like that urgency of it. Because even that in itself, of doing, regardless of whatever the activity is, sometimes doing it right away is also the sucky part.
Well, and
it's like you can't push it down the line.
I told you a couple days ago, like, my probably biggest issue in my life is I don't do well with the anticipation of the thing that I don't want to do. Usually the thing that I'm doing is not that bad, but it's the anticipation and the lead up to it. It's the days before or the hours before that I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. And then when you're there doing it, it's really not that bad. So if you can just eliminate the anticipation, it's like, that's the secret for me. Just eliminate the anticipation. Yeah. Just like go do it and get it done right away. If it's something that you can't, like it's a scheduled time, what I've been trying to do is just like, that's not.
Don't think about it.
It's not for me to deal with right now. Like it's not right happening right now. It's not right here. And me thinking about it and stressing over it, I guess, is like not doing anything. So just put it out of your mind. There's other things happening right now that I can be present for and doing and dealing with now.
Well, I like that with who said that? Was it Sal from Mind Pump? That whether it's like with kids or people or anything, like it's doing something that you don't want to do, just talking about how much you don't want to do it, or having to negotiate with yourself or with kids, you're still just focusing on the struggle of it versus like, let's just do it and we'll think about it later. Like, just do the workout and then we'll check back in.
Yes.
Just go brush your teeth. Let's check back in when you're done. Because then you're catching yourself or the kid in that state of the reward, or in that state of it's completed. Doesn't this feel good? Then you create that connection to that activity with the reward, not the, well, let's talk about how much it's going to suck.
Yep.
It's like Tim Dillon with the athletes. Just stop thinking.
Yeah.
That's another reason why athletes are so awesome. They just don't think about anything.
Yeah, they just do it. Yeah, totally. Yeah, do the thing and then check back in.
Yeah, I really like that.
Because there's such an obsession over it. Like, oh, when should I do it? Oh, I really don't want to do it. Now you're trying to negotiate, and you're trying to talk yourself into it, or you're trying to talk yourself out of it. Like, you're sitting there spending so much time thinking about it. Of course you're going to get anxiety or depression over it or stressed about it. It's like, stop thinking about it. Just put it out of your mind. Like, I'm going to just go do it, or I'm going to get to that later, and then I'll check back in afterwards to see how bad it was. That has been story of my freaking life. It's like, I never want to go to work. I never want to go do this. I never want to go do that. And then when I'm there, I'm like, this isn't that bad. It's like, so what's with all the bullshit before?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just don't think about it. Just think about something else.
And even if the thing does still suck, you know that you got through it or that you did it. It's like,
well, and if you're constantly checking back in after the thing and it's like, yep, that was a shit show. Like, that was horrible. It's like, well, maybe you need to try to take steps in changing your life. Unless it's something that...
Well, it's like for me with working out.
Yeah.
I don't like going. I don't like it during it. And I don't like it afterwards. But so what?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. There's going to be things in your life that are like that.
I don't experience like, yeah, but once you leave, like you just feel so into it. It's like sometimes 90% of the time I'm like, yep, it was just as bad as I thought it was going to be. But you know what? Who cares? I'm going to be back again tomorrow to experience the same thing. Yeah. And that's just what it's going to be. I think that's how I implement these, is just making them a part of the schedule. I just schedule them in so there's not an ability to negotiate with myself.
Right. You don't have to obsess over when to do it or when not to do it. It's just
like,
already done.
I'm just going to go work out and I'm just going to do that every day. Every day there's a new activity. With cooking, I don't want to do it every single time, but it's just a part of the schedule. You just got to do it. The micro sucks for me are if I want to implement something new. Like you said, like the dishes. Like that's me with laundry right now. As soon as I see the thing filled, I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to try to implement now. As soon as they're dried, I'm putting them away. Because I suck at that. I will just live out of the dryer.
Yeah.
Until a new load is done. I will just live out of the dryer. So like, anytime I notice the cue, this is the habit that I'm going to make. So it starts with these micro sucks and then it just turns into, this is just how you live. And now it's not a micro suck anymore. Now I can add a different micro suck or something that's a little bit more challenging.
Yeah. There's weirdly a reward to all of them. And I think sometimes you got to find it. And sometimes the reward is just, yeah, it's a little bit inconvenient and I'm like conquering that.
Yeah.
It's like everybody should have cast iron pans. They're a little bit annoying, but it's a micro suck. Something to take care of, something to deal with.
But they will take care of you.
Yeah.
They will last your entire lifetime and then your kid's lifetime and then your kid's lifetime. And they will not give you cancer.
Yeah. And you're not non-stick cancer pans.
Non-stick cancer pans. That's something that's so funny about my dad. But also I hope he changes. It's like he just doesn't get offended by that stuff. Like that doesn't trigger him enough to not use the pan. Like he'll just start calling it a cancer pan. And then still use it. Yeah. Yeah. And I think the more that you can do the micro sucks, the more that you can handle then the macro sucks. The more that you can handle bigger things and with ease, like actually handling them.
Well, when doing the dishes, doing the laundry, cleaning your cast iron pans, or going and getting the mail, all these little things are difficulties for you. How are you going to handle the big stuff? Yeah. It's like if these things are getting in your way, how are you going to handle the big stuff? Yep. You're just not going to be able to, especially in the way that you're going to want to. So getting these things to not be such big deals and not even micro sucks. Like let's get micro sucks being going and working out or other bigger things. I don't know. Like not just cooking or cleaning or whatever these little things are. You're able to achieve more and push forward and progress more with things that matter to you more. You're still stuck in the mud because you get upset that you got to do the dishes. It's like, how childish. Yeah. It's like, that's kind of what I think about a lot of the time. Oh, you don't want to do the dishes?
Yeah.
What are we, 5?
Yeah.
Like, what?
I know.
This is crazy.
Yep.
This is crazy. This is the same thing as when you tell your kids to clean up the toys and they're throwing a fit. It's like,
You're throwing a fit longer than you picking up the toys.
Exactly. If you
It would've been done already.
if you would have just not thought about it, picked it up, and it's done. Oh, crap.
Yep.
The toys are picked up. I don't, like, they're done. This is the adult version of that.
That's
it's like, pick up your toys.
Oh, that's so funny. Like, the get in there and do it right away. I love that. Maybe I'll start doing that too. With some stuff. Some stuff I actually schedule it, and that works. Like I said, that works better for me, is the scheduling. But there's the doing it. I don't ruminate as much on the anticipation that you do, but I do, I notice that a lot of times. Like, I used to remember this when I was a kid, like doing homework where it was just like a stupid task, but I had to do it. But if I could talk to someone while I was doing it, or like when we're talking and I put away the dishes, I almost don't even realize I put away the dishes.
Yeah.
And that's like that. I'm not in it. My mind isn't in it. I'm just moving.
Yeah.
I was like, how much could I just do that? And maybe that seems backwards to not be present, but the job is getting done. Like, you're still doing it. You're still practicing it. The toys are getting picked up.
Well, and I think if you can, I think it's okay to give yourself that, training wheel, but I would hope to eventually you don't need that.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I can't do the dishes. Like, I always have music playing, and now I can't, for some reason I can't have music playing. It's like,
right.
Just put away the dishes.
Right. Do you have a specific motivation for that, of why you prioritize working on this?
Yeah, don't be a bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
it's pretty simple.
Yeah, we're talking about doing laundry. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's the weakness thing, like avoiding being weak. I don't want to be.
Why is that so disgusting?
I want to be able to handle the big stuff and as big of things as possible. I want to be a capable person. I don't want to be the person that on the flight, perfect example, you forgot your headphones. 3.5 hours. No media, no entertainment. Can you sit there for 3.5 hours?
Yeah.
And not
freak out?
Not freak out. It's like I'm looking around. Every other person on that plane was watching something, had something in their ears, reading something. And not that all those things are bad, but
yeah, those could be productive.
It was making me think, like, how many people could sit on this plane for 3.5 hours and just not do anything? It's like, are you capable? Are you able to do that? Because what other situations might you get into that you got to do that? Yeah. And it's like, and if you're getting anxiety because you don't have something to do for 3.5 hours, you're incapable. Yeah. And that's just not okay to me.
And that's why I say it's disgusting. It's just, for me, it feels gross about myself. Like that being weak and not being able to handle those things, or like getting all bothered about having to pack or put laundry away or whatever. I'm like, well, great. I don't have dreams then. That's how I see it. It's like,
don't have ambition.
Don't have ambition. Don't have dreams. Don't want to achieve anything large, because everything is going to be bigger than that. So don't have business ideas. Even that. I mean, I've said this so many times, like the past how many years of it's really dialed in for me of everything I'm doing is to build to parenting. So that just puts even harder into perspective of how stupid it is. Because I'm like, I'm supposed to the cameras can't see it, so it doesn't matter.
Talking so serious, and she's like
Did you ever used to do that in school under the desk? Like leg extensions or like put a bag on your ankle and like do leg extensions or something?
No.
But it's like building, like I want to be like you said, capable. I don't know if it's capable and like go into any situation like I got this, or like I can figure it out, or people around me know that I can do that. It's like if I can't, I mean, working out for me lately has just been the struggle, the biggest struggle. And it's even stupider because it's just, I don't like our gym. That is the only thing. I walk in there and I'm pissed immediately. I look at everybody and I'm like, I don't want to see you again. I don't like it in here. It's cold in here, whatever. I'm annoyed with it. So that's like my hurdle right now, is going to the gym. If my kids see me go and I'm not going to go. I'm not going to work out. I'm not going to do something that I know is so beneficial for my health, for your well-being, because I don't like the building that it's in. Like, I would just feel so bummed about that. And then I'm like, and now I'm supposed to do all the stuff to like keep you alive and keep you progressing as a person. I can't even go to this building because I don't like it. It's like, I have to start implementing those things and being really hardcore and cutthroat about it, because yeah, it's like, well, then don't even try to do anything larger. Don't try to think that you're going to be a good parent. Don't try to think that you're going to be able to create businesses or do whatever. It's like, you can't do the laundry or go to a building.
Yeah.
And that is just non-negotiable. Like, that's just so crazy. I don't want to have to think that way. So it's like, I can't let those microsucks win.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I, like you said, what motivates you for that, or it really is. It's just like, I don't want to be weak with that stuff. And then when I mean, even to take it to like a more important, bigger scale of like raising people, it's like you're raising people and you can't do the dishes. Can't do the laundry, or it's not even so much that as much as this is beating you up.
Yeah.
It's not really that the dishes
like,
aren't getting done or the laundry's not getting done. It's like, so the laundry gets backed up. So what? It's the fact that you're ruminating over, oh, I just really don't want to do the laundry. It's like, and you got to raise kids now?
Well, I'm thinking when kids do that and just how silly they look.
Yeah.
Because it's like they do get extra about certain things because maybe they think then they won't have to do it or whatever. But it's like, that's how silly you look. That's one thing I always think about with this when it comes to your mom and cooking. Like, I wonder if you don't have that connection to, oh, it's annoying to cook, so let's go get something to eat. Or like, oh, it's going to be a challenge and whatever. It's like, it seemed like your mom just did it and just made you food. She didn't have that connection to, if you're tired or don't want to do it, it means you go get food. We only really get food if it's like, that sounds really good.
And I mean,
it's almost like that connection isn't even built into your brain.
I don't think she has that connection, period. Being tired doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
That doesn't change that the horses still need to get hay. The pigs still need to get water and get food. The chickens still need to be, get food. Like, everything still needs to happen. That's what's such a awesome thing about growing up on a farm, living on a farm, worked on a farm. Like,
things are relying on you.
There's living things relying on you. It's like, you can't just not show up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they need you. Otherwise, all this money that you've potentially put into it, or even just simply this living thing, it's like it can't do its own thing. Mm-hmm. It can't survive without you in these conditions. So it's like, you have something that, and that, I mean, goes back to the kid thing. Like, you have to do the things for the kids. I mean, how many people do things for their kids that they never do for themselves?
Oh, yeah.
But it's like,
yeah,
you get that practice with on a farm of just like, yeah, it doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if you had a long day at work and you had to stay extra hours. Like, it's 9:30 at night and the horses didn't get fed. They need to go get hay. They need their hay. Like,
well, and like what I was saying in the beginning of what their version of a microsuck is.
yeah.
It's like, your mom, I'm sure, is the same way. Like my grandma would talk about before school, they'd have to go and milk all the cows before school.
Yeah.
Because that's just the time that you did it, and
Think
they did it after school. It's like getting up and having to go do physical labor outside with animals, and that's how you start the day every day.
Think about just those people had to get up at like 5.
Yeah.
It's like I was getting up at like 7 o'clock and had to be at school at like 7:25.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to sleep to the last minute.
Yeah.
I'm not getting up to milk cows. Are you kidding me?
And then even just think about what self-focused behavior that generates.
Oh, totally. Totally. Well, that's probably the biggest thing. One of the biggest things of taking care of something. Like, you just become so outside of yourself. I have to take care of this animal. It's about the animal's needs. It's about other people's needs, you know? It's not about your own thing. Well, I need my sleep, and I need to get this, and I need to get that. It's like, oh, shit, I woke up late. Like, horses need water now.
Right.
Like, go get them at now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's all I got to say.
It's crazy. Life
Yeah.
is crazy.
Now, speaking of my biggest microsuck of the day.
We usually do this
Time
in
to
the
go work out
afternoon.
and be starving while I do it.
Yeah. I keep thinking that it's like 5 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. No, we got all day. The whole
Yep.
day ahead of us.
Yep.
The whole day to just explore and experience.
Micro sucks.
What do you think you're going to do for lunch? What's
Same.
in your salad?
Same thing I do every day.
But what's in your salad?
Kale, lettuce, cabbage, tomatoes, mushrooms, hard-boiled eggs, probably some sort of meat, and apple. So what it's been, it's what it's going to be.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. You complete?
Yep.
Bye.
See you later.